Hello, I'm speaking with Reynaldo Ramos. My name is Joseph Ramos. I'll be interviewing Reynaldo Ramos for the South Texas Achievement of at Texas A&M Kingsville. And this is part of Voice of the Pandemic Oral History Project in partnership with the Voice of Oral History Center at the Tamuk at Austin. Mr. Reynaldo Ramos, do you give us consent to achieve your interview and your material at the Harvard Lab at Tamuk University, Kingsville?
Yes.
Do you grant South Texas access at the Harvard Lab at Tamuk University, Kingsville, copyright over the interview and any material you provide?
Yes.
Do you agree to allow South Texas Archives at the Harvard Lab at Texas A&M Kingsville to post the interview on the internet where it may be viewed by people around the world?
Yes.
Do you grant South Texas Archives at the Harvard Lab at Tamuk University, Kingsville consent to share your interview and your material with Voice Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin for including in the Voice of a Pandemic Oral History, which will include posting the interview on the internet?
Yes.
Do you wish for us to share the rest of your interview in the public file available to research at the South Texas Archives at the Harvard Lab Library at Texas A&M University of Kingsville?
Yes.
On occurring Voices received requests for journalists who wishes to contact our interview subjects, we only deal with legitimate news outlets. Do you give contests for us to share your phone number, your email, and your journalist with our journalist? My bad.
Yes.
Mr. Reyn Ramos, tell me a little bit about your experience with COVID-19.
I had tested positive.
Can you speak a little louder to the mic?
I had tested positive for COVID-19 back in February, I believe. I've had family that had COVID. I've known friends that have passed from COVID. And that's about it. I don't really like COVID, given my health condition.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, how you went through COVID or your experiences with COVID.
When I tested positive in COVID, it was in February. I really didn't experience all the bad symptoms. I did have headaches. I did feel tired and wanted to sleep. I had taken my vaccines, all three of them, my booster shot and my two vaccines, my Pfizer vaccine. And when I was eligible for my booster, I took it and I really liked it because I really didn't feel that sick. I didn't have to go to the hospital. I was, like I said, fatigued, tired, and with headaches. And that's basically my was basically my uh, result of getting COVID.
Since you got the vaccine, how was it like? Like, I know there was lines for taking the shots. Were there long lines? Did you have to wait for a doctor to give you permission to get the COVID vaccine? How was it?
No, we as soon as we were able to get our vaccines, we got them, we took them, and or I took it, and it was about the my first my first time. It took about, I'd say, about an hour. There was long lines. It was at the Jim Wells County Fairgrounds. There was long lines. And on my second one, it was at Community Action. Uh, the lines weren't that long. I think it took me about 45 minutes to get in and out. My booster, I did go to the doctor and they did recommend for me to get it, and they had it, so I took it at the doctor's. But I know that they were long lines.
Was there any after effects after you took the vaccine?
Uh, the after effects, yes. Soreness in the arm. It hurt for, I think, like 2 or 3 days. Couldn't really, I mean, I felt sore. It bothered me. Uh, I couldn't sleep on my certain side, and it was uncomfortable for a while, but like I said, for 2 or 3 days, and after that, it was fine. My second one didn't really bother me as much as the first one. Uh, did get a little bit of headaches, uh, but not as bad as when I got COVID. Uh, my booster really didn't hurt at all. I didn't even feel it in my arm or anything, you know. But that's about it on my shots.
On how did you first learn about COVID-19?
Well, I see the news, I watch the news a lot, and when they said that there was something going on in China, and I I thought to myself, I'm like, that's coming over here. There's no way of stopping it. Um, it's like the flu, it's like the bird flu, it's like any kind of flu, people contract it, they don't know they have it, it's gonna happen. And I was just waiting for it to hit.
What was your first intro reaction to the information about COVID-19?
It was a little scary. It was a little scary because people in China and around the world were dying. Uh, it 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 brings you to realize that life isn't as great as it should be, because there's certain things out there that we can't control, and that was something that I couldn't control. And then having my kids, or my wife, my mom, my brothers and sisters, uh getting it or exposed to it, it scares you. It scares the living heck out of you.
At one point, how did you know it was when you realized it was serious?
When they started shutting down places, you know, um, you couldn't go to the grocery stores, you couldn't do this, you had to stay locked down at your house. That I had never been through. It was a game changer. You know, people weren't able to do. I mean, this is America. This is the land of the free. We could go and come and do, and I mean, we could do anything we wanted to, except break the law. But it was it was crazy because we were told you can't go out there, you can't do this. And I I looked at it like, man, are we in a movie? I mean, I've seen movies and I was thinking people are going to start walking around with hazmat suits, which at times at the hospitals they did. And it was scary. It was shocking, to see what was going around the United States, you know.
Since you talked about your children, how was it affecting them with COVID-19?
My children, I think, well, it affected them, I think, a lot harder because given the fact that they had to get used to being remote learning and not being able to go one-on-one with the teacher, or if this was going on, they weren't able to go and talk to the counselor or anything. They were basically shut out from school. It was a lockdown for them. And I believe and I think it was harder for them to, one day you're at school and you're having fun with your friends, you're learning, you're doing activities, to now everything's got to change. Now you need a computer. Now you need to get online. Now you need to learn online, and it's a big change, not only uh mentally, but just I guess physically, because all they had to do was get up, brush their teeth, start learning, remote learning, and that I never had gone through that. So I believe that it was harder for my kids through this pandemic than anything else.
How was your family members affected?
My family members, we really wouldn't see each other. We couldn't see each other. It was like, I have an elderly mom. Uh, I have my brothers and sisters that are older than I am, and it was, well, you can't see each other. You can't, if my mom gets sick and you're sick, it's because of you. And I didn't want that to happen. So everybody kept their distance. Everybody kept apart. Yes, we would talk to each other over the phone and everything, but that's not the same. We're not the type of family that, hey, what's going on? Da, 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 how are you? On the phone. We're more of a, hey, let's barbecue, let's get together, and all that stopped. So it affected all of us in a different way, where now now that some of the mandates have been lifted, it affected us because we were used to seeing each other, then we weren't used to seeing each other. Now it's like, okay, hi, goodbye, we got to go. I mean, like, everybody's still afraid of getting sick or getting the virus, and it affected our relationship, all of our relationships.
How was your church affected, or any organizations that you were part of?
Church was something different because of the fact that COVID was around. We stopped going to church, but we would get service on Sundays on television, you know. Uh, and then it was like, okay, the restrictions started lifting. You can go to church, but you have to be, even for funerals, you have to be 6 feet apart, and wearing a mask. It's at service, and it was different. It was harder, you know. It was harder to be at church because of the restrictions. You're with your family, you're used to being next to each other with your kids and everything at church, and everybody had to be 6 feet apart, you know, and it changed a lot. It changed us a lot.
Talking about church, do you still go to church personally, or do you see the television church?
I still watch the television church. Uh, it's it's still a little bit scary, frightening, because I can't afford to get sick in a because of my condition, my health condition. Uh, had a triple bypass. I've had 5 heart attacks. You know, I mean, there's just so much I can give to my heart, and I don't want to get sick and get real sick with the virus.
How, if at all, COVID impacts your ability to gather with family or friends for important events?
Well, my one of my nieces, her daughter was going to have a sweet 16 or quinceañera. I don't remember which one it was, and everyone was pumped, everybody, and then all of a sudden it stopped. Oh, we can't do it because of Corona. There was a lot of restrictions that were put in place, to protect the people, and not only at the venues, at the venues that were hotels or at halls, dance halls, but everywhere. I mean, it took a lot out of you can't be around 10 people, or you can't do this if you're not with family members that live with you. You can't be around anybody. So it impacted a lot of family functions that were planned not only for 2021 but 2022. uh a lot of venues, a lot of things got postponed or just not done after all.
Who have you interact with and why?
I'm sorry.
Who have you interacted, like during COVID? Who was the main person that you would talk to a lot?
I think I would talk to my kids a lot. My mom, it was an everyday thing. No interaction over the phone. My brothers, uh, like I said, we're a close knit family that we would call each other and see each other, and you know, uh, not see each other, but talk to each other. And I think one of my older brothers came to visit one time, and he was 6 feet apart, and it was different. It was strange, uh, but I did talk to my friends over the phone, see how they were doing, see how the family was doing, and that's basically it. I mean, I would talk to family and friends, my aunts, just to check up on them, see how they were doing, how uh, this was affecting them, and everything.
With COVID, has there been any benefits that happened to COVID?
I would take that as a benefit. I would put that it brought us closer to my kids. It brought me closer to my kids, and it made me realize how short life is. Uh, a lot of people, a lot of doctors and nurses and stuff have passed away, and that's made me think of how hard these first responders work. I mean, they were up in the front line, and it changed my way of thinking of them, of just seeing them and saying thank you. We do that to our war veterans and everything, but these doctors and nurses and police officers and people in the ambulance department and the fire department, they they're the first ones. They're the first ones there, knowing that this coronavirus could kill them or someone in their family if they contract it. And they're out there risking their lives for people like me and everybody else, you know. So it made, I guess it made me think and be grateful that there's people like that that are willing to risk their lives to help us.
How has COVID-19 changed the way you or your children communicate or with, I mean, my bad, how you change, COVID-19 changed the way you or your children receive education?
I think my kids have changed because my education was simple. Like I tell my kids, it was the books, there was no computers, there was nothing. We had to take notes, we had to write them. There was no computers or anything that we could use to make it easier for us. You know, for my kids, their education wasn't put out there like us, because it was, okay, you're going to do books, you're going to, you know, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Oh, but you can do it with a computer and then you can do it online. So it was a big change for me and for them, uh, given the fact that I never knew. I'm one of those old parents that we didn't have the technology that young bucks today have. The computer, online learning, Zoom, all this stuff. It's all new to me, and I'm learning as my kids are learning.
What changes do your children face as they move to an online mode of education?
I think it's a little bit harder for some children, and I believe it might be a little bit harder for my children, given the fact that, you know, they're gonna need help. And I honestly can say I don't know how to do it. I can do something on paper, but the the whole education by, you know, uh Zoom and stuff like that online, it's totally different for me because it's like, okay, well, I know Google, let's Google it and find out, you know. So it's a little harder. It's a little harder and a little it's harder to get used to. So I think my kids are going to, since they're doing this and they're learning as they go, I think we all are. I mean, I'm learning as they go too.
Were there any tools or resources that you needed to get your kids to online learning?
Uh, yeah. Uh, I remember my boys being in, well, in Agua Dulce Independent School District, and it, like I said, it's a learning experience for everybody because I know my boy's mom. I mean, she had done Zoom. They had already done all this stuff, and all of a sudden, the teachers had to start learning. How do we do it? How do we do it? So it was a big change. It was a change for not only my kids but the teachers. You know, I remember them having trouble and dropping their classes because I think the whole internet was overwhelmed with everything going online. You know, we weren't expecting for this, or this wasn't supposed to happen to the free nation. And it did. And now it was like, okay, what do we do now? You know, and there was weeks that, I mean, they couldn't get online because it was overwhelmed. So we'd have to go to school, pick up some packages, and do it by package, but yet still be online. So it was a challenge.
On school, did your school help the community with COVID-19 during that time?
Uh yeah. I remember the school, uh a lot of, because a lot of kids and people, I mean, it was hard. It was hard where I remember the school trying to do their best to help, you know, and I knew that they had all this food that they had ordered and purchased and stuff, and they started sending a bus driver to drop off meals for the kids, breakfast, lunch, and um, if there was any trouble with uh, how to get online and stuff, you could call, and they had services for that and helping, and uh, they guided us to, okay, this company provides internet since we live out in the rural area. Uh, and if people don't know what the rural area is, it's out in the country, and it's hard to get anything out here. You know, you need a satellite, you need internet, you need a satellite. So it was hard, and the school really, I think they did pick up, where they left off, trying to help the community.
With speaking about like that, with your kids going online, would it be distracting since they're being at home?
You really want me to answer like this question? Okay. Would it be distracting? No, it wouldn't be. It just got to a point that, you know, because when I was a kid, I was the same way. We would be at home. We just want to be eating and eating and eating. And it was doing work and eating and snacking and eating and snacking and eating and doing work. And it was a little, oh my God, uh, the food bill went up, but things happen. It's like, I mean, you're at home, you're at the comfort of your house. Uh, I'd have to get up, make sure, hey, you done your work? Are you doing your work? What are you doing? And I wasn't used to that. I was used to get on the bus. They'd go to school, they'd come back on the bus, and do you have homework? Yes, okay, let's get it done. And then everything changed where, hey, are y'all up? Are y'all online? Are you doing your homework? And back and forth, just to make sure that they were on track. They were, I guess, I just didn't want my kids to fall behind.
With your girlfriend or wife that you have,
Hmm.
um, was she affected with COVID-19?
Not physically, not, she didn't get it, uh, but her work changed. Her work status was different.
Was she working from home or was she had to go to the office?
At first, it was straight from home, telecommute all week. Uh, it was it was weird because when she would be at work, the Zoom meetings, everything else, she's a supervisor, so people would call her, and my life changed because it was like, shh, don't make noise, or please be quiet, I'm in a meeting, or uh stop making noise, stop, it's like, oh my God, watch what you say. And I wasn't used to that. I mean, I'm used to, at my house, I can do and say what I want. but it was totally different. It affected us because it was like her work was now at my house, and I had certain rooms that I could go to when she wasn't in them, and it was different. It was strange.
What kind of concerns or questions about healthcare have emerged as a result of COVID-19?
For me,
Yes.
my concerns was the fact that, like I said, I mean, I do have heart conditions. I am a high risk for COVID. So every time, how can I put it? My 5 heart attacks, all of them have been different. So it affects me where if I get a little sore throat, if I get a little headache, I start worrying about, okay, is it COVID or is it a heart attack? Because I've heard that COVID has given, or how was I had a friend that passed away because he got his COVID shot and he had a heart attack. And I'm glad that didn't happen to me, but it makes you wonder and makes you more concerned about what you do, where you go. I'm constantly germexing up, on my hands. Um, I I worry and I'm concerned about it, you know.
Thinking about that, when you leave the house, do you bring extra stuff like Germex? Do you make sure you have a mask? Anything different
I,
when you leave the house?
I always carry Germex, not only in my car, but in my person. Uh, a mask, I always carry one, you know, and if I see that there's a lot of people where I'm going to get off, I put it on, you know. If I'm just going to be outside going to put gas, I tend to use Germex when I get the gas pump, when I put up the gas pump, and you know, that's that's part of life now, you know.
Any mental health impact or changes that happen?
Mental health. I think that coronavirus has driven me crazy. It was mentally, it was a challenge. You would go to the store or you would, you know, go put gas or something, and you were just wondering who is a positive, who doesn't carry this virus or doesn't show the symptoms to carry this virus. You were afraid. It mentally, it drove you batty because you're afraid of people that might have it and they don't even know that they have it. I was afraid that I had it and I didn't even know if I had it. I mean, it was a challenge. It was mentally, you were having to get ready to go to the unknown, every time you walked out of the house. So mentally, you had to be, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And you would walk around and some people didn't care. They would walk around without mask or anything. And I had to fight back a lot of times of opening my mouth and saying something, you know, because of the fact that, I mean, there's something out there that was killing people and there was people that really didn't care, you know. They didn't I feel that they didn't care because, they had children or whatever, but yet still didn't protect themselves or didn't protect their children. And it was just, I would do anything for my children. And I wanted to protect not only myself, but my family and friends. So mentally, yeah, it was hard. It changed it changed a lot of my mentality where it was like I felt sometimes like I was going crazy, but I'm not.
Did you get access to healthcare with COVID?
I I did get access to healthcare when I contracted COVID. Uh, it was it was weird because I mean it was understandable. Uh, you would get COVID and they're like, don't come in unless you're really, really, then you go to the hospital and you're thinking to yourself, well, how do I know if I'm really, really, sick or dying? Because nobody had, I mean, this was a new pandemic. This was a new strain that was killing people. So even at the doctor's place, they were afraid to, okay, do you have symptoms? Everywhere, anytime you went to the doctors, do you have symptoms? And if you did, they would put you in a separate room, with the people that had the symptoms also. So if you didn't have it, you were going to get it because you were there with people that already had it, going to go see the doctor. So it was a little crazy.
How did you believe politics affected how COVID-19 has been handled?
Okay, politics. I believe Donald Trump just messed up the way he handled it, the way he was like, oh, it's no big deal, it's no big deal, you know, and it was a big deal. Our government failed us. He did something good. He did warp speed this vaccine, which I'm happy that he did. But then when he turns around and says, I'm not going to take it, I mean, millions of people didn't want to take it. Republicans didn't want to take it, given the fact that the one that made it or pushed to make it wasn't going to take it. And then to find out that he did take it, but never came out and said, I took it until months and months later. That just, it just, that was poor leadership. Joe Biden, uh, he's done a good job, a okay job of of leading us through this time, this bad time of COVID. I just believe that some of our government are playing politics with it, uh, like Greg Abbott, lifting mandates that should have still been in place to stop this virus from escalating. I mean, I know business is business and we got to get back to work. Yes, but I mean, you get another strain and then you get another strain and you get another one, you're never going to stop it. But yet, their leadership of, okay, we need to do this, we need to, keep calm, and it's not working. They're lifting mandates, like the mandates on riding a airplane, and then I see American people just cheering and laughing, and that just drives me batty because it's like it's not over. You know, when you fall asleep, that's when you're at your weakest because you don't know what's going on or what's around you that can get you sick. You're in a plane, you're stuck in a plane, and with people that might have it and they're not wearing masks. I mean, that's just crazy. We're getting people that are just, our government is just scaring people for everything. Uh, don't do this, don't do that. Yes, do this, and it's just driving people batty.
How has COVID affect policies in your area?
Uh, Really, like I said, we live out in the rural area, so there's nothing out here that has changed for us. I mean, it's a go by day thing. I remember when we have to go into town, you'd have to wear a mask, you'd have to be 6 feet apart. But now that everything has changed or is changing, people are lifting the bans and everything. So it's it's a risk. It's another risk because there might be another gene out there that's just waiting to wake up, and we're gonna be in the same boat.
How has COVID-19 affect your daily life?
It's changed my life where uh I like I said, I get up in the morning. If I have to go somewhere, I take my my Germex and my mask, and it's just it's another part of life. You get in your car before the seatbelt law, you know, then the seatbelt law came, and now it's just like it's normal. You have to put on your seatbelt to drive. So it's like now I'm getting used to, okay, walk around with the Germex, walk around with your mask. It's beginning to be a normal set of life for me. I used to make fun of the people when they would show the people in China before coronavirus walk around with masks, and I never understood why, but all the chemicals and all the stuff. Then I realized why they were doing it. They were doing it to protect themselves from something in the air. And I wonder now all the time what's in our air, what's around us, what chemicals are around us, or what's gonna get us sick. But hey, we have to move forward, and not live in fear. So that's how it's changed my life.
Have you ever been part of a protest recently?
Have I been part of a protest? No. I don't believe in going to protest, given the fact that, one thing leads to another and can lead to another. And yes, I believe in Black Lives Matter. I believe in all lives. I believe in the LGBTQ movement. But what happened September or January 6th, when people got together to overthrow our government, that's part of where everything needs to stop. You know, I mean, we're in a great country, you know, and I've never been into protesting. Uh, I say what I feel, and I feel what I say, and I I don't I have no regrets on it. I mean, everybody has their own opinion. You know, everybody does what they do in their own way. And if I have to pray and ask God for help and wanting to learn, what is right or what is wrong, on protesting on guns or protesting on people that are bad, and I just, you know, I just try to get educated.
As of right now, when we're speaking, do you think COVID is dying out or do you think it's growing?
I don't think it's dying out because I have seen the news, and I've seen that there's states that, and I'm sorry to say, Republican states that have lifted their mandates. You know, there's their virus has gone up again. And I just believe that we just need to be careful, because if we fall asleep, it's going to get us again. If we don't listen to science, we're gonna we're gonna poop it out. We're gonna be in deep poop because of the fact that the scientists are telling us that this thing is still around. And yes, we can't be afraid of everything, but yet we need to be more responsible.
Speaking about that, do you think some places were that open up, was it too soon?
Well, yes. I mean, I saw that in Florida, they were wanting to open up real quick, and people were still, getting sick, and they wanted to send kids to 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 school and everything, and it just blew my mind because I remember Donald Trump saying, "Oh, it's not going to affect the kids. It's not going to affect the kids," but yet we lost so many children, you know, because our stupidness, our not wanting to believe in science, not wanting to believe in the people that are being paid to take care of us. These scientists that know what's going on or what's happening, and everybody was, oh, they want to take your rights away. And it's not taking our rights away, it's trying to get us back to where we used to be. That was back in our normal place.
Um, as of right now, has your area been opened up yet or no?
Yes.
Has your community in your school has opened up? Do they still do Zoom? Do they do food drives, all that stuff?
No. They've opened up uh uh because given the fact that Greg Abbott has lifted the mandates and wanting the kids to go back to school, everything is, well, back to normal as much as it can be.
And speaking about COVID, is there anything you want to tell future generation or younger generations as of right now how to deal with COVID or anything that might happen that you want to tell them?
I believe in the vaccine. Uh, we have polio vaccine, we have mump vaccines. I believe vaccines, if they're made right, they're made to work. You're not gonna turn into zombies, and you're not getting tracked. I Some of the things that I heard was just outrageous. Oh, they're tracking you with the the vaccine. They're putting something in it where they can track you. Guess what? Wake up, America. They can track you with your phone. It's like, please, don't be ignorant. No, don't be ignorant. Listen to the scientists. Listen to the people, your doctors. Listen to the people that are paid to take care of us. Politicians, they're they're out for the bucks. They're out for the money. They don't really care. If they did, all this problem about coronavirus would have been taken care of, a year ago or maybe two. You know, I mean, we're going on 2 years already with it. It should have been taken care of from when it started, but they took it for granted that, oh, we're America. It's just like the flu. Don't worry about it. But it's not. And given global warming and everything else, you know, a lot of things are going to be different for you younger generation because a lot of the earth is melting and a lot of new viruses will be coming up and you all will have to deal with it. I'll hopefully be long gone, but the new strands, the new things of viruses that are out there, they're going to be worse than what chickenpox were, you know, and we're getting a taste of it now with Corona.
Is there anything that you want to share about your experience with COVID-19 or I haven't asked you about or anything you want to shout out?
No, Go Commanders.
Thank you, Mr. Reynaldo Ramos. I hope you have a good day and a blessed day.
Glad to help.